So at the end of summer, we always have Lancaster sweet corn ice cream.
Okay.
So when we rolled into owning this business, and I was like, ugh, corn ice cream? Like, are you kidding me? So of course he got it. And he's like, you need to try this. It's amazing. And I'm like, I just don't. And I did. And then I was like, okay, I would never have guessed that I would have liked something like that. But people will travel for that. They'll call
Just
me
for that.
and they'll order it
that,
in bulk. Like it's so unique.
Yeah.
And I always say, don't knock it until you try it, because I know I thought it sounded gross too. But
Yeah.
so that,
Pickle also.
oh yeah, we had pickle ice
Now that's a
cream.
little bit.
Pickle ice cream. Yeah.
I think that's confusing to my brain thinking about that, because like sour doesn't go with cold.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know.
that's not.
You would just sometimes be surprised. That's why I always say, like right now, I have cornbread ice cream out.
I could do cornbread.
Yeah.
Again, you
Well,
know,
we got, with the pickle then. So someone saw that we had pickle ice cream, remember? So then we
from
were
social
invited
media.
to, there's a pickle fest in Baltimore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they wanted us to come down with our pickle ice cream and all this kind of stuff.
You go to the Dillsburg
I mean, it
one
was
too,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it was
but
just
it was like
kinda-
a last minute thing. They
was
wanted us
kinda
to serve
crazy,
like
so-
2,000 people. And I'm like, I don't know if we're ready for
I can't make that much pickle ice
But
cream.
it was, I guess they just saw that we had pickle and it was,
it's
got them
fun.
excited.
Or
So
like back to school time, I take our peanut butter ice cream, I mix in jelly and make peanut butter and jelly.
Welcome back to the Lead Lamp Podcast. This week we have Matt and Amy McGill from Good Life Ice Cream and Treats. So we kind of have a little bit of a connection, I know, with the dentistry side. Now, obviously, we're our own marketing company too, but we've had you at a couple events, so we know you. But let's kind of learn a little bit about the story of how you got Good Life started and a little bit of background about both of you too before we jump into that. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Okay, background on myself. I was actually a high school math teacher. We had 2 children together, and I decided after the second one, it was time for me to be at home with them. And then during that time, I actually started doing, I'm a fitness trainer too.
Okay.
So I teach fitness classes. And it wasn't until COVID that this whole opportunity came about. But I'll let Matt tell you a little bit about himself first, and then we can talk about what happened and how we came into owning an ice cream business.
Yeah. So, as you know, I work for Benco Dental, so that's
Right.
how the dental background is between us. And I've been with them almost 20 years. So, one of my coworkers that I worked with, he worked for a different manufacturing company. He actually owned an ice cream business in Hershey, PA. For about 12 years or so. And he always said to me, like, hey, you know, at some point, like, would you ever be interested in maybe going in with me on another ice cream adventure? Because he had just sold his. So COVID hits, 2020, and we're all kind of sitting at home doing nothing. He's Googling, looking at different things, and he calls me up and says, hey, there's an ice cream shop for sale in Lancaster. Would you be interested? Let's just kind of look into it. And so we sat down and talked and thought, hey, let's look into it. Let's see what this is all about. So we were basically just going to be the silent partners behind it. Amy was going to do all the bookkeeping with her math teaching background. So we were just going to do all the books and
Kids
stuff.
were still pretty young, and
Yep.
obviously nobody knew what was going on with COVID and the pandemic. So we were nervous. We thought maybe it could be risky, but we're like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so in August of 2020, then we bought Good Life Ice Cream and Treats.
So Bob got us into it.
Yep.
We met. The nice thing was it kind of had a staff already, so we took over an existing business.
You weren't building from the ground
Right.
up. Like
So
you didn't have
that
Yep.
part of
No
it was
scratch.
nice,
Right.
So they were kind of teaching us along the way as well, because they were used to how everything was running there.
Yeah.
And Bob was getting ready to retire. That was going to be like his retirement plan. So we went in, we met everybody, we started taking over everything. And again, I was going to do more of like stuff from home, like bookkeeping. But I was like, this is really cool, making ice cream. Like, Bob, teach me how to do this, because I wanted to learn, even though that was going to be more like his role.
Yeah.
So he taught me how to make ice cream, and then he started not feeling well. So he was like calling me up, like, I need you to make the ice cream this week. Okay, no problem. I'll work that out, And I knew it must have been something, because he wasn't one to ever complain, and it ended up that he was actually like stage 4 cancer. So we didn't know, and so then at that point on, things progressed pretty quickly, and they had pretty much given him a couple months to live. So from that point on, we panic mode. I had to
What do you
jump
do?
in to a business that I knew nothing about other than a couple little things.
And the guy you were learning everything from.
Right, is no
not
longer
gonna be
able to.
available. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So that was really tough. And we ended up losing him that January. So again, it was a struggle. Lots of stress that first year, lots of tears, as we're mourning Bob as well. And his wife was helping out when she could, but obviously, she was dealing with her grief as well.
Yeah.
So
Well, it had to be
then-
tough keeping a business open too, because I'm sure not open, but running,
Yeah.
because you get close with someone like that when you're trying
Yeah.
to kind of
Right.
either-
And then, of course, you're thinking about him every time you walk in the door,
Right.
and it's a whole emotional thing.
Yeah.
But
but then he wants to keep it moving too. So.
right.
Yes.
And then it's
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
like,
Yeah, he
too,
would-
like
yeah,
in
he'd
his
be-
memory. And,
Right.
we knew he would want that. And then, as his wife was starting to feel better, she did jump in and help them that year, but it was always like his baby. So then, after that year, she's like, listen, you guys take over. She's like, this was never my thing.
Right.
But she's still amazing. We've become so close. And anytime we have a trip or something, or if, my kids are sick or whatever, I know I can rely on her. Just call her up and be like, you know what, Lori, can you make some ice cream for me today? And she would do it in a heartbeat. So she's always there for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the crazy story of how we ended up owning an ice cream business.
When it's kind of like we've had some guests on, we've had a bunch of guests on that are business owners or just, leaders. And it seems like everyone's story of how they got like pulled into the mix on stuff like that is not how they expected it to be.
Yeah.
Even when they had a plan, like to jump into a business or start a business, and like halfway along the way, they're like, well,
Yeah.
there was a giant wrench in my plan.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's better now.
Yeah.
Or it made it stronger or it made it better. But in the moment, you're always just like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
this is not what I
Yeah.
needed or wanted. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like life's way of like, okay, well, we're going to test you out and
Yeah, that's what I always
see
say.
if this,
Somebody obviously had a plan for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
can you cut it or not? Like,
Yeah,
and-
exactly. Yeah. No, and Amy's, she's been doing great with it. So it's, it's a lot
Good.
of fun, and we have an ice cream truck as well.
Now that
Playground.
you didn't have that.
Yes.
That's
That came
newer.
with the business.
Okay. That existed
Yep,
already.
so that
Okay.
did exist.
that was
so a
all
lot
part
the
of
catering
it.
and everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the trailer.
That's the
we
ice cream
see.
truck
Okay.
that we bring around to
Awesome.
different events. And
So has it changed much since you guys had the takeover, or have you added anything new? I know you do new flavors all the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our flavors are constantly changing. It's such a fun business because since we
Yeah.
make our own ice cream, you can create whatever you want.
If it's not good, you just don't tell anyone.
exactly.
That flavor.
Right.
Yeah, and of course our kids are excited.
Donate
What? Free ice cream.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The trailer is nice because we're from the Marysville area. So
Mhm.
obviously Lancaster is a little bit of a commute. So I try and not be down there every day. I try and pull it off with just a couple days a week. I go down, make the
Yeah.
ice cream. The rest of the stuff I do remotely. I have a full staff. They're great, but we're constantly texting each other, or 'cause it's a lot of like high school kids that will run my shop in the evening. If I get a cake order in, I'll be like, I need you to pan this, or how's everything going? Or when they clock out at night, they'll send me pictures to show me that they, clean the bathrooms or whatever.
Yeah.
And kids are great communicating like that. That's what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
used to. So it allows me to be at home with my children as, the business is still operating.
And you have full, like that's kind of wild to me. Maybe it's not to you guys because you're used to it, but like the high school staff or those kids, younger kids, they'll run the whole show, open and close and
Yeah,
stuff.
so
Or do
now
you
I
have,
have some older people.
Okay.
Like actually, my day shift lady right now, she's in her 70s,
Okay.
and she has worked there forever, and she is just the sweetest. And she
probably enjoys it.
Oh,
more than
she
anything.
loves
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
She's such a hard worker. So like she pretty much does like my day shift, and then nighttime I have
She
the
hands it off.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, and then they communicate with me from that point on.
Gotcha.
And then the next morning we'll be like, oh, they forgot to do this, or,
Yeah.
so obviously we correct them moving forward. But for the most part, they're very responsible kids. I do have college kids too. So that helps.
Yeah.
I have some that are in there that are a little older. But we have a ton of business in Lancaster. We supply a lot of the restaurants down there with ice cream.
Okay.
The Dutch Way buys our ice cream cakes down there. So it's not just scooped ice cream.
Right.
But yeah, we make tons of custom ice cream cakes. People email us exactly what they want, or we have plenty that are always in stock too. But everybody loves the Cold Stone. We have a Cold Stone in the shop. So the appeal there is a lot of the flavors, and we have 22 at a time. A lot of them will be plain because people want to come in and they want to pick their base ice cream, but then they want to mix in Oreos or chocolate chips or Snickers bars or whatever, and they make their own creation. So really, I always say the possibilities are endless.
Right.
And it's fun because with making your own flavors, like I love like the holidays. I mean, so we just had Halloween. We made zombie brains,
Yeah, so you can't go wrong with some of these holidays.
So you can just and that's just marshmallow, and we dye it red and make it lumpy, whatever. But it's fun to create these fun names, and the kids come in, and they're like, yeah, I want zombie brains.
Right.
And then Christmas, we have the milk and cookies or the snickerdoodle. Peppermint stick obviously is huge. But then we do like Buddy the Elf. So, if you're familiar with that movie, he liked to put syrup on everything, and he loved chocolate Pop-Tarts and sprinkles and whatever. So that we take sweet cream ice cream and we put M&Ms and marshmallows and Pop-Tarts and syrup, and sounds disgusting, but it's a huge seller and it's actually not bad. But it's fun.
What's the obviously the most fun I would have in an ice cream business would be probably that is just like flavor mixing. You get to be a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm sure though there's been flavors though that you're like, ugh.
Well,
no.
Actually, when we bought the business, it was in August. So at the end of summer, we always have Lancaster sweet corn ice cream.
Okay.
So when we rolled into owning this business, and I was like, ugh, corn ice cream? Like, are you kidding me? So of course he got it, and he's like, you need to try this. It's amazing. And I'm like, I just don't. And I did. And then I was like, okay, I would never have guessed that I would have liked something like that. But people will travel for that. They'll call
just
me
for that.
and they'll order it in bulk. Like it's so unique.
Yeah.
And I always say, don't knock it until you try it, because I know I thought it sounded gross too. But so that
pickle also.
Oh yeah, we had pickle ice
Now that's a
cream.
little bit.
Pickle ice cream. Yeah.
I think that's confusing to my brain thinking about that because like sour doesn't go with cold.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like that's not.
You would just sometimes be surprised. That's why I always say, like right now, I have cornbread ice cream out.
I could do cornbread.
Yeah.
Again,
we got with the pickle then. So someone saw that we had pickle ice cream. Remember? So then we were invited to. There's a pickle fest in Baltimore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they wanted us to come down with our pickle ice cream and all this kind of stuff.
You go to the Dillsburg one too.
but it was like a last minute thing. They wanted us to serve like 2,000 people. And I'm like, I don't know if we're ready for
I can't make that much pickle ice
But
cream.
it was, I guess they just saw that we had pickle and it was, got them excited. So
like back to school time, I take our peanut butter ice cream, I mix in jelly and make peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So what's something about that business that neither of you two expected going in? Like, obviously, when I think about an ice cream business, I probably think about the same thing that you guys did before you were in it. And you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. You got this, you got that. There's some bookkeeping or whatever, but ice cream, how complicated can it be? But what's something that once you were in, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that at all. Whether it's mixing or creating or anything.
I think it's just like the joy that you bring people. And it can be, a lot of times it's in the ice cream truck. So I always say the refreshing thing is it's nice working with happy people. It's not, if they're walking in your shop, they're about to treat themselves.
Right.
So they're happy, they're excited. Or if a business is hiring us to treat their warehouse employees, some of these people don't ever get ice cream.
Yeah.
So they're getting free ice cream and they're just like, this is the best day of my life, And we might have somebody having 4 different servings of a mint chocolate chip ice cream cone, but they're just like the happiest person ever. Yeah. Just you meet so many different people, and we've done so many situations. Like we've done funerals. I had a guy reach out to me, and his father was on hospice and had passed away, but the only thing that made him smile was his bowl of ice cream every night. So he wanted us to do the funeral, and it was actually such a cool thing because they worked us the ice cream into the sermon and how, he loved seeing that smile on his face. And then again, it was not long after COVID. People were nervous with the meals in the basement of the church. So they all came out, had ice cream, and just shared memories. And it was like
it's probably a better
Yeah,
It's like-
it was
experience
really-
too.
it was-
Yeah.
It was a cool
We weren't
moment.
sure what to expect
Yeah,
going into it, but it turned out really, really neat.
Huh.
It was,
Because at first
yeah.
we're like, a funeral?
That's like a good. I'm going to like store that in my
Yeah.
memory bank because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you think of that, like that's a solemn moment in
Mhm.
someone's life. But like when I think about that time for myself, like I want people to have fun.
Be
Like
Yeah.
go.
happy.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can
That's what
remember-
the fellowship meal is.
Yeah.
You know, me
Yeah.
in general downstairs, everybody kind of gets, and this was just
You're
in
sharing
lieu of that,
everyone's-
it was, hey, everybody gets a,
Yeah.
everybody gets an ice cream cone.
That's a-
and
Huh.
and then they
Cool
just
to
kind
be able
of stayed
to-
out.
So
Bring
yeah,
a
you're
little
turning
joy to that
negative.
moment.
That's a negative experience that you guys, even though you're there for business, you know
Mhm.
that it's more than just there for business. Like you get to see them
Mhm.
congregate and share some stories, enjoy some ice cream, and then
Yeah.
kind of make a memory together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Opposite end of
absolutely.
that, we get hired for a lot of weddings. So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
cool too. Seeing the bride and groom come up and they're posing with your ice cream truck. And
So we did not have a cake for our wedding. We had like a little one that we
Mhm.
smashed, but
Yeah.
we did an ice cream sundae bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was 12 years ago now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, same deal. Like my wife and I were like, we don't want cake. Like it's hot summertime.
Mhm.
We want ice cream. So same deal. Like,
Yeah.
Great.
so you're talking to me a little bit more of a sweet tooth for the ice cream,
Yep.
but I think it's a great thing for big events like that, just because
Yeah.
it's lighter,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
100%.
it's, I don't know, I think the really cool thing is how now all of our worlds have kind of collided.
Mhm.
Obviously, he was in the dental field. So we've had dentists, as you know, hire us for events
a couple times. Yeah.
search tailgates or the Verber movie nights or
Mhm.
whatever. So that's kind of cool. And then also with our children, like our children are super active in sports. So now like the school has hired us to do their PTO fairs
Mhm.
or we're at soccer opening day. So it's kind of cool events that we would be at anyways, like with our children.
Yeah.
We've been able to be there too with the ice cream
Mhm.
and they're like, that's my mom and dad, serving ice cream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Local celebrities.
yeah, so that's kind of cool
Kids
how
love it.
we've all like meshed together. and-
Yeah. And you're being remembered as local celebrities with the ice cream.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a boring
That's
business.
it.
Your
No,
dad's a-
yeah. We're just the
Right.
ice cream
Accountant.
people.
No,
Yeah.
that's not cool.
Right.
He's got
We're
ice cream.
Deacon
That's
and
a-
Kennedy's. Yep. Just ice cream parents. That's all.
We've been able to help them with fundraisers and things like that.
Mhm.
And again, just like, okay, end of the year softball party. The kids love ice cream, so I can make ice cream. They wanted cotton candy. Their team was pink and blue, so I made pink and blue cotton candy, swirled
Perfect.
it together, named it after their team, and they're like, "What? We have an ice cream named after us?"
Yeah.
So that stuff's really cool. So.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what do you think is the hardest part about whatever it is, the manufacturing process or just trying to stay on top of store inventory or truck, you have your truck or your trailer inventory? Like what's a harder challenge to tackle in the business that like someone from the outside, I'm just getting a cone, I don't think about that.
Yeah.
But for you guys to get that to me as a customer of yours, like
Right.
there's a big hurdle.
Mhm.
Right. I would say definitely just like the cost of everything.
Mhm.
And that was a learning curve for me as
When
well.
you guys have a
being
lot of
thrown in.
raw ingredients that are like
Yeah.
market driven.
All
like
you got
sugar.
the milk mix,
Mhm.
you got,
Everything,
all
yeah.
the mix-ins, we
Yeah.
do the cakes too. So you got the frosted, it's
Cocoa
a
powder.
lot.
Everything is all.
is it
Yes.
change a lot or
It's gone up.
Well, yeah, change.
It's really gone up the last couple. Of
one trajectory?
Yes,
Yeah,
pretty
so
much. Yeah.
that's been a
So-
really hard
Okay.
part. And like,
Yeah.
obviously, yes, you have to increase your prices, but at the same time, like, nobody's going to buy a $10 ice cream cone. So
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
you can't get so far.
but just to give you a little bit of an idea. So like when we first bought the business, I would buy the ice cream mix,
Mhm.
all the other stuff we add, but we buy the actual milk mixture. So we buy it in 5 gallons. When we started, it was, I think, $32.
Yeah.
I pay about $60 now.
Hmm.
And that's in just 4 years.
It's like 4. Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Um,
doubled in 4
doubled.
years.
And
Yeah.
then everything else has gone up, as you know, when you go to the grocery store, the candies,
That's it.
everything.
Everyone has the same
Um,
complaint now,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it
Yeah. So it's a challenge, but it's okay. It's just
Yeah.
something we have to work through.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think just managing it all. Again, I'm lucky that I can do a lot of that remotely. However, like I need to be by my phone. We might be camping with the kids and I'm, texting the ice cream kid. I call them my kids too. The ice cream kids, like, because I need to make sure I'm still managing that, even though I'm
Right.
not physically there. So just, learning to be able to still be present with my children, but still stay on top of what I need to and make sure I'm getting back to my emails and
Yeah.
being a good wife and supporting him where he needs help. So I think our kids probably get annoyed, but we always say teamwork makes the dream work. So we really are always helping each other out and supporting each other. So
Yeah.
Do you think it was, so my wife's a teacher, so I kind of know the teaching side of it. Was it a shock to you to know how much time was invested in running a business from when you went from teaching to, obviously you were home for a little bit with the kids
Right.
too, and then back into working, and you're like, this is a lot more. Now, obviously business ownership affords more freedoms.
see, that's the big thing.
There's a trade-off.
Right.
So
That's the one thing that I really, really enjoy is the flexibility behind it. Now I don't have to be somewhere Monday through Friday, all day long. So now I look at my schedule and I figure out, okay, my daughter wants me at the Halloween party, so I'm not going to Lancaster that day. So I can really look at each week, and I have the flexibility to be able to decide what days I'm going to Lancaster and what days I'm going to make the ice cream, or, if I get an email about catering an event and I have something important going on in our lives, like I just have to say no. So I think just,
But she does a lot of work at home. So, I mean, I was blown away by how much time is invested in running a small business. Is she does great with just, managing everything, but she's on her phone constantly. We do roughly 60 ice cream cakes a week.
okay.
So they all come through on the website, right? So they're all custom ice cream cakes. So she has to respond to them and say, when do you want to pick them up? When do you want to do all those type of things? So she's doing a lot of the email stuff, and the books.
And you don't have to be
everything.
in a physical office for that
No.
anymore.
No.
But
oh yeah,
But
sometimes
she's
I'm,
still a lot of-
sometimes I'm laying in my bed responding
you know
to
what I mean?
cake
So
orders,
it's
but-
just, it's spread out. It's not necessarily,
I think that's one thing that's interesting. Not that COVID was good, whatever you think of it,
right.
but it did change our philosophy on like where you work.
yeah.
So like, I think a lot of people don't mind, like I'll sit at my kitchen table now and,
Yeah.
morning time, getting ready for school for the kids to get on the bus, and I'm
Yep.
typing something out. But like, I know I'm working, but it's different. It doesn't feel the same as it did. Like if I'm doing the same
Right.
at the office, it's a different type of work, even though it's the same
For
task.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that was hard for the kids to, at least with our kids, to understand too. 'Cause,
Like I'm working.
right.
Yes.
Because
Walk
if
away,
they were
yeah.
home for
Well, you're
whatever
home.
reason, but I'm like, yeah, I am working though. Like I know I'm not like at work, but
Yeah.
So
sometimes you
there's a
have to
funny
remind them of
story.
that.
The COVID, were you teaching? You had stopped teaching before
I was
COVID.
done before that.
Okay, so my wife, teacher,
Mhm.
at the time was 5th grade, and we had 2 kids. One was in kindergarten at the time, and the other one was still in preschool, so they were young yet. And she's trying to teach a classroom, and they're both crawling like on her shoulders and stuff.
Exactly.
And she's on a Zoom with her kids, and like I'm in another room
Oh yeah.
doing the same thing, working from home, and
Yeah.
it was just a chaotic moment in our house. But like they don't, like you said, now that was a different circumstance because everyone was pent up,
Right.
like
Yeah.
cabin fever.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were like, you're home. It's
Yeah.
time to, it's a weekend
Yeah.
like for 3 months.
Yeah.
It's time to
Oh,
party.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But kids, they were just having a hard time originally understanding, like, no, you need to leave us alone for an hour because it's time to work.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, as they get older, I'm sure your kids understand, like, all right, mom's working.
Yeah.
We're going to leave her
Getting
alone
better
for a little
now.
bit.
But
It's it's getting better, but yeah, it was definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But at least it affords you the ability to be home.
Yep.
You can supervise your kids and then still build this business and work on that. So
Yeah.
we heard a lot about it from Amy. Let's hear your side of it. So you obviously encouraged this and supported this to grow.
Yeah.
But how are you fitting into this maybe on a daily or just on the evening, weekends kind of thing?
Yeah. So dental is my everyday,
Right.
Working for Benco. So I help out with the ice cream truck. Evenings, weekends, things like that. So I'll drive the trailer around and help scoop and do things like that. Very rarely am I in the actual shop in
Okay.
Lancaster. She does all that. I hardly ever get down there at all. I'm pretty much just the ice cream trailer guy and towing around and scooping, and
I always say
helping
he's my
serve.
number
So
one scooper.
yep. So yeah, so but she's a rock star when it comes to
So you're like the
running
jockey.
now. So I'm just
You're taking the trailer out.
I do. Yep. So she's great. She takes it a lot
Yeah.
herself
He had
now.
to teach me. I was nervous about that part of it, but he taught me and I learned.
You hadn't driven a trailer before the ice cream
No.
trailer. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've learned now. And so
When
I tow on my own sometimes too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get it into now some tighter spots, but
Yeah.
you're going to some of these businesses, like you got to park wherever you can
Yeah.
find a
Right.
place. Yeah.
And that was her biggest.
That was my fear.
That was her anxiety. Was like, oh, if I get somewhere and I can't.
If it's like the Verver Family Dentistry
and
parking
stuff
lot,
like-
like,
exactly.
good
right.
luck.
Yeah. If you get in there and you get stuck, you're in
There's no room.
trouble, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then panic sets in and all that stuff. So the last 2 years, she's really been doing a lot more jobs during the week,
Okay.
like over lunch and things like that.
Yeah.
I can't do. So she, handles all those.
Now, do you have
Great, so-
storage? You have storage for the ice cream. I'm guessing not just in Lancaster, like you have multiple.
So in the ice cream truck, we have several freezers.
Okay.
So
Yep.
what I've learned to do is as I'm going back and forth, like I'll take huge cooler bags with pans of ice cream and I'll stock the truck. And I try and, keep ahead. I know I have an event next week.
Right.
I'm going to start stocking it this week. But in the main season over the summer, it's pretty much stocked, ready to go in case something comes up.
Okay.
And a lot of the flavors will stay the same for catering. But obviously, if we have a special event and they want something, custom or whatever named after them, then, we just add to it. But
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of requests for that where it's like this, like you said, the sports teams where, oh, with the Orioles, my kid's little league team, I want to do orange and black ice cream or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, do you get a lot of requests
so
for that?
actually, and that was kind of my fault. I started that with my kids' school, but I was like, you know what, this is so cool. I'm going to dye the cookies and cream because they're orange and black. So I call it Black Hawk Pride, even though it's just cookies and cream dyed
Right.
orange. But
They don't care.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
Yeah. It looks like,
certain events, or we did a bar mitzvah the one time, and she wanted like a signature sundae, and everything was like pink, and so I think we dyed the vanilla pink. I ordered pink sprint, like everything was pink, and it was like named after her. But a lot of times the brides, will really. I'm like, hey,
Oh,
it's your day.
You don't want to
Tell
get in the
me
way.
exactly
You
what
know that
want.
deal.
Yeah,
Let's just let them do their
100%.
thing.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But not like a ton.
Yeah.
But
I think the one thing you had said, which is, I don't know why this popped into my head, but like Hershey's, I don't even know if Hershey's ice cream sells this outside of Rake Straws. So in Mechanicsburg, there's Rake Straws,
Yeah. Sure.
but they have a flavor. Rake Straws just does Hershey's now. They don't make their own ice cream,
Okay.
but they have Crazy Vanilla, which I don't know if you've seen. I've never seen it anywhere else, and it's just vanilla ice cream,
Okay.
but it's like
different.
it's like all these rainbow colors are crazy, and like
okay.
from the kid till now, if I go to Rake Straws, I'm going to get Crazy Vanilla.
Yeah.
It's no different.
I know, even though it's just
than,
vanilla,
like you said, it's just cookies and cream.
Yeah.
But like when you're getting ice cream, even as an adult, you kind of become a kid again, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
I want to get that's the crazy one. Like I want Crazy Vanilla, or I want that black and orange
I've had
cookies and
so
cream.
many adults
It's
tell me
neat.
like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, you own Good Life? My favorite flavor is Cookie Monster. And it's so funny coming from an adult.
Yeah.
And all that is birthday cake ice cream, but it's dyed, bright blue like Cookie Monster.
Right.
And it has the Oreos and the cookie dough mixed in. But it's funny, some of the favorite flavors of these, big kids.
I think it's just like one of those things you don't let go of as you get older. Like ice cream kind of levels you back off as like, I could be a kid for 20 minutes while I eat this.
Yes. Cotton candy. So cotton candy is a huge seller that we have, and so many adults. I mean, it's funny. Like we always have it in the trailer when we're catering because of kids and things like that. But so many adults will come up like cotton candy. Oh yes, that's my. That's I
wild.
love cotton candy, and they come in. So and it's bright blue, and
I know,
your
you're
lips
gonna
are bright
I'm like,
blue,
you're
stain
gonna
your
have a
tongue,
blue tongue.
and it just it stains everything, and they
A
don't
bunch of
care.
middle-aged people walking around with blue tongues.
Because it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
It tastes like you're eating cotton candy. So, but and then everybody walks around with blue tongues. But
That's awesome.
that's
So what is there anything like you have planned, like next steps for Good Life, or
I'm not really sure. I mean, like people have like Dutch Way sells her ice cream
Yeah.
cakes, things like that, and they want me to expand to their other stores. But when it's all
It's a
said
volume
and
thing,
done,
too.
I'm one person. So,
Right.
I'm trying not to bite off more than I can chew.
When you had mentioned that earlier, like
Yeah.
you're currently, you're doing this, you're doing all like
Yeah.
small business ownership. There is some freedoms, but then you're also like, I have to make sure I'm getting my books done. I'm having to do
Yeah.
this. I'm placing
Right.
orders. Like you're doing inventory.
Yeah.
You're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's also becomes a thing. I'm sure you know more about the industry than I do as far as ice cream shops, but like when you start to scale, or if you ever started to scale, like, is that something that eventually you'll have to relinquish some things to other people
Yeah.
to be like,
Sure.
I can't, cause I'm going to
Oh,
go
yeah.
crazy, order an ice cream for,
Yeah.
if you even have 2 locations, like
Yeah, that's
it's too much.
Yeah.
I got to start having some management built in now. I think you're kind of small at this point. You don't have to have that,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
a blessing
Right.
and a curse, cause
Yeah.
you can control it, but then you're
Yeah.
doing everything. But I'm sure you've thought about that too. Like,
Yeah.
No, I definitely cannot like take on anything else at this
Yeah.
moment.
I mean, even vacations, right? So we have to plan our vacations out because
Yeah.
she has to make sure she has help, and she has
Yeah.
to make sure that she has enough coverage, and you know what I mean. So because if we
You gotta be
go
prepped.
to the Outer Banks, we go to the beach or something like that. Like
you're not
you know what
driving
I mean?
8 hours back
Exactly.
to
If
take care of something. Yeah.
happens, so like those are things like that. But
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure you
so-
start having your rock star team members too, that you're like,
Yes.
listen, hey,
Yeah.
going away next month or in a couple months, like,
Yep.
I trained
Here's the
one
deal.
of my college kids last year just because I wanted to spend an extra week at the beach. I'm like, listen, you're with me for 3 days. You're going to learn how to make ice cream because I need a break.
yeah,
yeah.
So
Can we
and some of them. Yeah.
wrap up by talking about that part of it? Because
Yeah.
that's intriguing to me. So like I have an ice cream maker, or I've used an ice cream maker, like the little one. Is it much different than the process of like the little ones you buy for like the joke, like, oh, we made a couple bowls at home.
okay, so
Right,
my
right.
machine, it takes
Don't give away anything that's like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
that you do secret.
You're
Okay.
kidding. No. So
Yeah.
basically, I don't make my own mix. So I do order
Okay.
that from Gallagher's is my favorite. It comes in 2.5 gallon bags. So when
Is it the same Gallagher's that does the milk?
they
sheet?
make ice cream and stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
milk you get at Rutter's
Yeah, it's,
Yes.
it's
company.
the,
Okay.
yeah, that's the dairy
Yeah,
farm.
so
we
they're
buy.
the
Gotcha.
dairy
Yeah.
farm. Yeah, so they ship it in big
So that's the
crates to
base.
me. Yes.
Okay.
So that's your base for anything. So when I'm making sweet cream ice cream, that's it. It's
Okay.
just the milk frozen basically. And then from there you add, so if you're making vanilla, then you add your vanilla extract. Or cookies and cream, you're gonna mix your Oreos in.
Mm-hmm.
But all the mix-ins I do after it comes out of the machine. So
Okay.
the base is your 8 quarts. And then you just add your flavorings from there.
Hmm.
And then if you're mixing anything in, I mix it in as the ice cream comes out while it's soft before you freeze it.
Right.
But yeah,
Hmm.
so that's pretty much
So it's I mean, how many gallons does it make at one shot?
um,
2. I don't,
we're talking. Yeah,
Is like a
yeah. So it's
probably
a
about.
I'm thinking of like a KitchenAid, but like much
Yes.
bigger.
It
Right,
looks like
exactly.
a soft serve machine,
Okay.
almost.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're dumping everything into the batch up
Yep.
top, and
Yep.
then
Oh, okay.
and then
now
it
it
mixes
goes
and
through its
freezes.
cycles.
It's a gravity. Is it gravity
Gravity
fed
fed
down?
then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay.
it takes maybe about 10 minutes,
Okay.
and then it'll be ready, and then it'll make like I don't know 4 big pans,
Mhm.
depending.
Then you freeze it.
And then you freeze
Yep,
it. Yeah.
then
So
it
it's
gets-
not ready to eat when it
Yep. So it
first
comes out soft, and then
Yep.
and then we
And then
freeze it.
I always say at least like 24 hours before you, but then it's like the hard hand dipped ice cream.
Gotcha. So nothing's like it's not soft serve by the time it gets finished. And
Nope,
It's
nope,
all-
not at all. So yeah,
Okay.
so it's all homemade small batch ice cream.
Nice.
So it's just I mean, we're not mass producing 20 gallons of something at a time.
Yeah,
It's all individual flavors. You get we get 3 or 4
Yeah.
gelato pans out of each batch that we make. So it's
Nice.
It's constantly
Well, and that's good too, because
Different,
if you
so.
do have a new flavor, you're not stuck with
Well,
Yes.
right.
volume. You're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
this thing flopped,
Yep.
and now we got all this
yeah. So we can change it
odd
out.
flavor.
Yeah.
If pickle ended up
So
not being
if I'm
popular,
nervous
Exactly, right.
about
You- yeah.
pickle selling, I'm just going to do a half batch and
Yeah.
start small because, then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, worst case scenario, we have 2 pans of this
Okay.
flavor. That's
it's
not
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know. Like I said, my only exposure to making ice cream is the old like
Yeah.
coffee can size that
Yes.
little mixer.
Yeah.
But-
No, but I mean, yeah, so it's pretty small batches. So it's not
Okay.
uncommon. Like if I'm making ice cream in the summer, I might be cranking out 22 batches like in a day. And you'd be surprised like how fast that goes. Like
Mhm.
so in the summertime, if you're not making ice cream like 3 or 4 times a week, like you're running out.
You're telling customers that you're out of ice cream.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
So
certain
what it-
flavors
yeah.
or something. I mean,
Right.
it's but yeah.
You have more than one
We have-
mixer though.
No.
Or you're just working with one?
So working with one, yeah, but it's so fast. It's 10
okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not terrible.
it's
And
10
then I'm
minutes per
usually
batch.
doing other things while,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
And we have a second mixer as a backup if something would happen.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean, to this, but we really only work out of the one.
okay.
And we have 9 or 10 freezers. So
Oh,
we
okay.
can, you know what I mean? So
tons of
capacity,
storage.
you know.
You have storage for it.
We have
That's good.
storage for it,
And I'll
yes.
pan a lot of the ice cream cakes straight out of the machine and stuff.
Okay.
So same thing with those. Like, you know, you got to put the cake down, you got to put the ice cream in, then you put your mix-in layer, another layer of ice cream on top. So and even that has to freeze for a full 24 hour. You know, you get people that want a custom cake tomorrow. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Like I'm
Right.
physically making the ice cream. It needs to freeze, depan, freeze again.
And they can pick any flavor of
Frosted.
ice cream
Yeah.
in your ice cream
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah, so that's a big
Okay.
appeal because
Yeah.
you can't really find custom ice cream.
No, you get the one, the Caravel one at the grocery
Exactly.
store. That's the only
Yep,
other
yep,
time.
Exactly.
Yep, and it's vanilla and chocolate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, so this is,
Yeah, so people like that, but at the same time, like they need to understand, like it
Yeah, it's not
can't
an
have it
overnight
ready
thing.
tomorrow. Like it's a process.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that being said, we do have like stock cakes that we have. I mean,
If you want a basic one.
at any time,
have-
there's
Yep.
50 ice cream cakes in my window that you can come in and be like, I need you to write happy birthday, so and so on that. So we have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like a generally fun business. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously every business has things that are like, oh, I gotta
Right.
take care of that.
Sure.
But like, who doesn't like ice cream? So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And the treats and stuff are fun too, you know, ice cream cupcakes or we make
Oh,
our
yeah.
own Choco tacos, you know, so it's not just your scooped up.
Well, and that's only limited by like what you could think of
Right.
Yeah.
do next.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. We do an ice cream for breakfast
Oh, right.
on
Okay.
the first Saturday in February. It's National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a line out our door. So
Huh.
we do, so we make homemade waffles.
Okay.
You know? And then, so you get a waffle with 2 scoops of any ice cream you want, you know what I mean? And a cup of coffee. You know?
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
people do that. So like from 8:00 in the morning, you know, until noon.
It's like probably the same amount of sugar as some cereal bowls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways, like
Yeah.
And
Probably,
it's
but
like,
it's
no,
just, you
everybody's
know.
bored. It's winter time,
yeah.
so it's like,
Get
you
out
know
of the
what?
house.
Let's
Yeah.
have ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And Panera Bread is right next to us, so they're like they give us the coffee, and
Yeah.
then I treat all their employees to ice cream.
That's pretty cool.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's neat. But yeah, so different things. Yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. If you want to, you know,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to come up with a flavor, we can do it. Or breakfast, you know, ice cream for breakfast, we can do it. Things like that. So
I love
it's
it.
neat. The flexibility is.
I've had
is neat,
people
so.
that want to incorporate like their own baked goods and
Mm-hmm.
stuff too. Like La Petite Patisserie always wants me to take their stuff and mix it in, or
They do like their
macaron-
own special batch.
the
So yeah, they do
cider.
like they make their own like macaroons and things like that. So they bring them in. So she'll make
Yeah, so
their
she
own
helps
macaron
me.
ice
We
cream.
create flavors together, and she'll sell it in her shop. Or there's this place that does like a cider donuts or whatever. So they have this big festival every year, and they're like, "Do you think there's something you can create and mix our donuts in?" And I'm
Like an
like,
apple cider donut.
"Heck
ice cream.
yeah!"
Uh-huh,
So I take my
Want that
apple
now.
puree
Yeah.
with the
Yep.
sweet cream and mix their donuts in, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
gosh, this looks
Huh.
delicious."
Very
So,
good too. Yeah.
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 Well,
So
now
it's kind of
they
cool
do
that they
those
can like
things,
create their own things too.
Yeah.
And we work together.
it's like
so,
special edition runs of ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it's limited and it's small, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I learned a lot about ice cream today, and now
Yeah.
I'm like craving ice cream.
So
So
there you go.
Before we walked in here,
Yeah.
and don't hate me for saying this brand. It is what it is.
That's okay.
But we were walking down the hall. Nate and I were walking down the hall,
Yeah.
and I was telling him I was interviewing you guys, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, like I know I'm going to come out of this like jonesing for some ice cream.
Right.
And
Get
then
the
we were just
face
talking
now.
about, well, no, I'm going to, my like guilty
Go-to.
pleasure
Mhm.
ice cream is Haagen-Dazs rum raisin. Like I am
Oh,
obsessed
okay.
with rum raisin ice cream.
Yeah.
You can only ever get it in the little
Yes.
like 1 pint size ones, but
Yeah.
it's like $8 for this tiny little thing of ice cream. But
Yeah.
like every now and then, like once a month, once
Yeah.
every couple months, I'm just like I need to get that.
Okay.
So
Gotta treat yourself.
Yeah.
if I could, I would come down to Lancaster and get
Exactly.
some from you guys today, but
Right.
I'm going the opposite way home. So
But
you guys do have-
Understood. So, yeah.
you guys do have great ice cream, and you said you'll deliver within
Well-
a certain region, I'm sure.
Well,
Yep.
it's because since we live in this area,
Yeah.
and obviously all of our friends and family know that we do this, but they're like, I'm not going to Lancaster, you know, because it's a commute. And I'm like, listen, I'm going back and forth all the time. You want an ice cream cake? I got you covered. So,
As long as it's not overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, right.
Right.
So for the holidays, for Thanksgiving and stuff, so we'll bring a lot of pies and cakes
Yeah.
to this area
Mm-hmm.
to deliver to people.
Okay.
For
Do you do a pumpkin
stuff like that? We do.
flavor? You have to.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
what you
Yep.
can't be in coffee, baking, or any kind of treats
Yeah, without
industry anymore without doing pumpkin.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So come October, I mean,
It's all
we
pumpkin.
have pumpkin out, and we're
And
yeah,
anymore,
so
it's like if your
very-
pumpkin's not out by August,
Yeah.
you're behind.
Yeah,
Let's say
it's-
I just released peppermint stick. Like this, it's kind of like you got to stay on the Starbucks
They
schedule.
just skip
Otherwise,
Halloween.
you're
Yeah.
behind.
Oh yeah, it's right.
It's
Yeah,
time
right
for
to-
Christmas now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so
Okay.
It's a lot of fun though.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, I
Good.
can
Thank
attest
you.
to it that you guys have awesome ice cream just from the time I've had it at the events. And
Thanks.
I thank you for coming in and sharing, how you started it up. Obviously, you turned what was a tragedy too a little bit at the time of the handover into
yeah,
something positive. And while it was kind of scary and like, what am I going to do now? Like,
Mhm.
you made it work and
Yeah.
you've kind of grown it a little bit more. So
yeah.
it's awesome. Well, and I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
Thanks for
us.
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll throw the links to your show and everything. I'm sorry, to your site and your Facebook pages. We'll throw that all in the
Awesome.
show description. So
Yeah. It'd be
Awesome.
great.
cool. Awesome.
you.
Thank you guys.
so much. Yeah. Great.